None of us really want to go through or even like hardships or trials. But the reality of life is there are times that every one of us face hardships and trials. The Apostle James says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, that whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." The Greek word for perseverance is hupomone, and can be also translated as steadfastness, just like the steel character of a mountain in a storm. Let me tell you a true story to try and explain how trials, or what some people call bad luck, can actually turn out to be a blessing at times. Astronaut Jim Lovell was made famous for bringing home the doomed Apollo 13 mission when the spacecraft had an explosion in space that could have killed all 3 astronauts on that mission. Lovell and his crew never gave up hope, and they worked the problem, as did the ground crews back on the Earth, and they all turned tragedy into an amazing triumph. But this was not Lovell's first time of meeting challenges in life. We all have them. Years before his Apollo 13 mission, Lovell was a pilot, and he was flying his F-2H Banshee jet on a night mission in combat conditions over the Sea of Japan. He was returning home to his aircraft carrier, the Shangri-La, when he found his radar and his homing beacon had been jammed from Japan. All Lovell could see was a big black ocean, as the aircraft carrier didn't have running lights because of combat conditions. Without his radar, he would be lost. So he turned on his map light in the cockpit of his jet, and as he did so, the lights shorted out with a zap, and now Lovell found himself in a totally dark cockpit, out over the dark sea in the dark night. Now he knew he was in trouble. He knew he was low on fuel, and he had no idea what his altitude was or how to find his aircraft carrier. Everything seemed to be going wrong. Everything seemed to be hopeless. But Lovell began thinking that he was going to have to try and ditch his plane in the ocean. But then as Lovell looked down from his darkened cockpit, he was amazed to see a green trail in the ocean that would lead him to the Shangri-La aircraft carrier. That trail was made by the phosphorescent algae churned up by the wake of the aircraft carrier's propellers. By following his trail, he was able to find the carrier and land safely. So what at first seemed to be a disaster for Jim Lovell, losing his cockpit lights, actually turned out to be an accident that saved him, because it was only in the darkened cockpit that he could see the green trail on the ocean. And sometimes what may seem to us as something bad may in fact turn out to be a blessing. There are no easy answers in life, but there are times of hard trials. But God has got everything in His control of every single thing in our lives, and He has already planned to bring you through every single hardship. God tests those that love Him to bring them up to a greater maturity and growth with Him. In Genesis 22:1, we're told God tested Abraham with a trial of offering up his beloved son Isaac. This had nothing to do with the possible killing of Isaac in God's plan, but rather to bring Abraham into a greater level of faith. But Abraham could never have known that at the time. Did you know the Hebrew word for test in Genesis 22:1 is the Hebrew word nasah? And it means not only to test, but also to lift up. God tests you and me so we can lift each one of us up to the next level of our faith walk with Him. God works all things together for good. God bless you. I'm Bruce McLean.